I'm going to start off and allow everybody to kind of introduce themselves and tell them a little bit about their background. And before I jump into that, I do want to say, we did put this together with the Network Lead Exchange team here, based out of West Palm Beach, Florida. Network Lead Exchange, if you're listening and you've never heard of it, it's a business networking and referral group. We have about 25 groups in about 15 different states now. And so we're excited about the growth that we're experiencing with Network Lead Exchange. And if business networking groups interests you in the least bit, check us out. Go to our website, networkleadexchange.com, or check us out on LinkedIn as well. But we're going to jump in and introduce all of the speakers today. I want to first introduce April O'Connor. She is our Director of Business Development for Network Lead Exchange, but she's also the owner and president of the Network Lead Exchange in Wellington, Florida. And so she's got a lot of experience in business networking, and we've got April here. April, can you share a little bit about your background and why you're here today?
Sure. Yeah, Network Lead Exchange was very attractive to me. I've been in sales and marketing longer than I'd like to admit. But throughout the years of networking and the title of this for purpose, the thing I loved most was giving back. And sales grew the more I helped other people. So yeah, my background is mainly sales and marketing. And we got the Diva of connections on here. People have called me the Queen of Connections, and I love that title because I love connecting people.
Fantastic. Awesome. And we've got Christine. Christine is the president of and founder of Networking Diva here, or DFW Networking Diva, I should say, here in the DFW area, and also the director of marketing for the Veterans Chamber of Commerce here locally. If anyone's listening in the DFW area, I know probably a good handful of the participants are, because I know that Christine and Jason probably are invited a good handful of their connections. So if you can give us a little bit of your background, Christine, and what got you interested in speaking on this panel.
Well, so I'm a communications major at heart. That's what I taught in college. And so I absolutely love it. When I found out about networking, I was like, a whole new world opened up for me. And I like this. I'm like a fish in water. I love this, right? And so that's how I ended up with DFW Networking Diva. And so I love connecting people, not just in DFW, but nationwide. So when you said that we were going to talk about, I was like, whoa, I'm in, right? As the current president of the Network Lead Exchange Frisco chapter, I'm having a great time building that chapter. So just another way to help people. And that's what I love to do. So that's what you can do through networking. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I did leave that small detail out of there. So Christine is also the president of one of our Network Lead Exchange chapters in the Frisco area. So, and then we have Jason Anderson. Jason is a speaker, author. He's also the president of Venture X, actually a sister company of Network Lead Exchange. And so Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So thanks, Austin. So I've been with the organization for 10 years now, been a real estate broker for 14. I was also a veteran before that, but my first degree in my MBA was actually in marketing. And I found really each industry that I've gotten into, from real estate to franchising, marketing and networking, have been the most pivotal aspect and really my success in any of those brands. And back in Dallas, I used to run at one point when meetup.com first launched, one of the largest meetup groups in Dallas at that time. So did a lot of in-person networking through the chamber. And now I help teach a lot of automation and digital networking using LinkedIn and other resources. I even spent 3 days at LinkedIn at their actual campus in Silicon Valley at a data boot camp there to learn more about the platform and how to use it. So just excited to kind of share what I've learned over that amount of time, and hopefully it helps some people on the call.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And for everybody listening, there's a couple of different directions that our topic, networking with a purpose, can go. And so I want to let you know that we are going to be taking all of those different directions. And so a lot of people affiliated with networking with a charitable purpose behind it. A lot of people affiliated with networking with a end goal in mind. And so I want to first off talk about a little bit about the charitable side of things. And so all of you have probably been involved in different networking events and networking groups that have different purposes behind them to where they give back to the community and or the local area and or a certain charity. Could some of you jump in and kind of explain some different events that you've been a part of that kind of cater towards that route and maybe some recommendations that you might have for some of the listeners?
I'll kick that off, Austin.
Yeah.
So one of the first ones I had been involved with is I'm an animal lover. I love dogs, cats. Even though I'm allergic to cats, I still love them, and really just all pets in general. So one of the first ones I did is I wanted to really combine my passion for a few different things into a networking / charitable organization. And the two things that came out of that was I like cars and I like dogs and all animals. And I used to go to Cars and Coffee, right? So they have these nationwide, and I would see people bring their pets. But then I thought of an aspect to combine a car show with a dog show, but have a charity kind of cause to it. So that's where Fast and Furious was born, but with an extra R. So it was Furious. So Fast and Furious became a networking group that we would hold in the PetSmart parking lots where you paid a charity donation. So it was really kind of combining your passion and maybe love for a few things into a unique idea. But then in real estate, I also did DFW Charity Real Estate, which was taking your business model and adding a charity aspect to it. Was not only great for business. I would do 5Ks. I did the Frisco 5K every year, and I would wear the DFW Charity Real Estate t-shirts, and we would give back X amount of percentage of commission to the charity of your choice. If you didn't have one, it was always a local no-kill animal shelter. We would just sponsor an animal. If you wanted it, the adoption fee, or even if you didn't want it, that way somebody else, the next person, got it for free. So I think that's one of the ways to look at your business ecosystem. And as you're bringing on new clients, potential people, to see how you could possibly spin that to help support just a local charity or concept. And really, you can make it up. That's the fun part about it, right? So I know entrepreneurs love to make things up because both of those things were just on a whim and we tried them. And it's impossible to fail with the charity aspect business marketing proposition. I mean, if you just you adopt one pet, right? I mean, if nobody comes and you just pay the $50 fee yourself, you still gave some good back and put something out there to the world.
Absolutely.
I have to ask you quick
on that.
Fast and Furious. I don't know if you did the Cars and Coffee here, but my first one had Vanilla Ice. He lives in my hometown here now, Wellington, Florida. So I don't know if you were that, but we were thrilled when Vanilla Ice had the red car from his movie.
No, I used to be out there at Palm Beach Outlets once a month when they hold the new Cars and Coffee. So everywhere I've ever lived, I attend Cars and Coffee. Absolutely.
But I'll connect with that, Austin, because my volunteering went actually back to high school, and I started the volunteering for credits to get into college, but it felt so good, and bringing the other people, and so that's where it really started. And then when I entered the professional world, continuing to see the value, not only giving to the nonprofits, but utilizing my time to grow my business. So that has been a trend for 20 something years. Last year when about a year and a half ago, when I moved to Florida, I went to a Relay for Life, and I was just a participant. And then the mayor said, "Hey, do you want to be the team captain?" It's pretty time consuming. So in November, when I launched really my business of Network Lead Exchange, I was the captain, and I had the aha moment. Let's tie this together, and all the proceeds benefit. It was a LinkedIn local. What came out of it, we had over 100 people with a waiting list. And what came out of it really was a community group. We gave back and just really showing the purpose. So now as a trainer with other, Deane is with that, Eric Rashiers down Frisco, Texas, we're setting that model. Some owners are already doing it. Some owners are saying, hey, yes. So when we have events, we don't charge. 100% of the proceeds went to the American Cancer Society. That event in Austin was there. We loved it. There were a lot of donations. So it's the power that you don't even expect. People came out of the woodworks that helped with that cause. So it's been very successful, and it's definitely helped, my business by asking organizations, how can we help you? So I was very happy with that.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, combining the charities and giving back to the community really helps a business. And as part of the chamber here for the Veterans Chamber, we do a lot with the nonprofit sector also. And there's so many nonprofits up in this area just on veterans alone. I mean, so if you want a passion with that, we can connect you. But actually, our chamber is nonprofit. So we will do different things, like we connected with Save a Suit, right? But what that does is we have multiple businesses, right? Because it's a chamber. So when I explain it to the chamber members, you want to get involved, right, with the community. You want them to know who you are and that you're support for them, and they're supporting you, right? Right now, we're really big on supporting small businesses. That's a huge thing right now, right? And so when you can help with your part of your branding is, this is the kind of person I am, this is the kind of company I run, and these are the kind of values that we have and what's important to us. And when you can make that connection with the community wants to get involved, right? They want to help. They want to be part of that. And that's part of what we do. So making those partnerships with the community it gives you as a business owner a way to reach out to your clients. It's not all about sales. It's not all about the bottom line and the money. It's about those connections you make, right? And these are the kind of people that you want to do business with. And you're the kind of business that they want to do business with, right? Where if they have a choice where they want to go buy something, right? They want to support that small business, which is fantastic. And they remember what your values are and what's important, because you share those same values with your clients, right? So I think it's so much bigger than just partnering, right? We've created a whole community, and that's what I love about what we can do with charities.
That's great. That's great. And that's perfect to kind of lead me into the next question / topic that I have. And, today with everything going on, everybody's doing Zoom, everybody's on LinkedIn, and it's turned into a lot of virtual networking that's not necessarily focused in a certain area in your local community. And I see kind of an issue with that. There's obviously amazing things about that. You have the opportunity to network with anyone in the world through Zoom, but why is it so important to stay focused on like networking in the local community and giving back to your community? Why is that so important to small businesses, especially in your area? So I don't know if anyone wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'll hop in on that as well. I mean, my wife, has also ran a local small business in each community we've been in. And really, Austin, I think what the pandemic has done on top of some of the virtual stuff is really put a lot of pressure and strain on these local small businesses, right? So I think, you have the big companies, the Amexes that did the small business week kind of things. But now I think you really see that more than ever, those small local businesses need that help and support. And I think now as people are starting to have to focus more local, as you know, Austin, a lot of us there at the corporate headquarters spend a lot of time on airplanes. So I've never had as much time to actually frequent as many local small businesses as I've had this year. And I find myself now truly going out of my way to do business with a local organization, which is something that I can honestly say that maybe not proud of, but I really didn't do before, right? I just kind of stuck to convenience factors and things that were there. But now I find myself literally just going out of the way to try to support a local business, even if it takes me another 5 minutes and I have to drive by, the Target or the Whole Foods to go to the small kind of local market. I'm making that extra effort to do that. And I think that's one of the positive aspects of the pandemic, that it's forced people to be more local maybe than you ever have had to be, especially for people that are used to traveling, being on the road a lot. So I do feel now from the financial aspects is you have to, right? I mean, you guys probably see the numbers each day that restaurants, local gyms, and people are really struggling. So I had a restaurant that we frequent here do a GoFundMe, right? Who would have thought? And we supported the GoFundMe, right? And my local dry cleaner picks up and he had to go to Venmo because he could not afford the credit card processing. So I tipped my dry cleaner, right? Who would ever have thought I'd be in a world where I'm Venmoing my dry cleaner and leaving a tip? Like he sends me the bill and I tip like a restaurant, right? But it's him actually picking up the dry cleaning. Like comes early in the morning before he opens the shop, and him and his son after hours, where it used to be a wrapped vehicle, right? So you really start to see those local businesses needing that support and have to adapt. Even 3% credit card processing fees, make a big difference. So
Well, yeah, the think local is huge, right? That's really been probably one of the biggest things that's come out of the pandemic is the need to feel that sense of community and help out the other locals. And you think about the businesses are doing that, Ref. So imagine how our nonprofits are doing right now, right? People are having a hard time spending money on basics at, stores, let alone donating above and beyond, right, for nonprofits. So anytime we can partner up and help build businesses and build the nonprofits at the same time, it's a win-win in the community.
It is, and that paying forward, what I've noticed, and believe me, I was a convenient Amazon today, you order it, you have it tomorrow. And I've definitely changed my mindset because Amazon dollars aren't going to go to my kid's school. So it is a pay it forward and it trickles down. So if you're investing and those businesses do well and they see it, they're going to support other organizations, which in turn is your local nonprofit. So it's definitely, like Jason said, been an eye opener. And I've gotten away from, just the convenience and really strategic. The other thing, if people aren't doing it right now, to support those restaurants, gift cards are huge. I like to give gift cards throughout year anyway. That's going to help them right now. So if you have that on hand, go to that restaurant and, support them in that way as well.
And encouragement, get to know the local owners, right? We're talking about networking here. Take that next step, right? If the manager's working, is the owner working today, right? Just wanted to say thank you. We're supporting you. We're so happy you're still open. We'll keep supporting you, right? Words of encouragement.
And not though in there to share good ideas, right? I mean, again, you find most local, I'll use that dry cleaner as an example, because this is a true thing. Like he wasn't using any type of system to send text messages. So I would actually receive a text message from the owner, like, do you need dry cleaning pickup tomorrow? I text him back a link to a service that does large scale text messaging. Like, right? Like, hey, I said, here goes a system that can help do this for you because you're texting me from a real number. So I'm just assuming you're texting everybody. Like, right? I mean, and this is only like $10, $15 a month. And he's, thank you, right? So now he remembers me. He knows my name. I'm the guy that helped him. Now I get a text message from not his phone number and he's clicking a button one time, not having to text everybody. So I'm saying that because you may have a service or a resource beyond just your financial metrics that may be able to help support that local business, right? In today's world, don't hesitate to just offer, a free, like you said, take that person to lunch. Like, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Or I know how to do WordPress or Wix or Squarespace. I'd love to maybe just offer you some type of service there that they may need.
Yeah, the pro bono work that I've done during this pandemic has been through the roof, right? And just because so many small business owners needed that kind of help. And so whatever we can do to help them survive, right? Because otherwise when we get hungry, where are we going?
Yeah.
Those are all great points, guys. That's awesome. I want to kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about more networking strategies that everybody gets involved in when you go to a networking event or when you're on one of these networking Zoom calls that everybody frequents so often now. What purpose do you take to that networking call? What are you doing there? What does anyone have any tips or hints at things that they do on those networking calls? What are you doing? Are you trying to get to know people fast, or are you just putting your name out there?
Austin, I'll say, the main thing is being present. You see people on the calls, they say what they have to say, and then they're distracted. People are seeing you. So that it starts there and really listening to the people, take notes. If they say something off the side, how can I help you? So right there, when you're networking and getting to know them and following up. And when you send that follow-up in LinkedIn, don't start pitching them right away. Just, first of all, go to their profile and pick out something, find something to probably connect with them. Put in the subject line, it was great to see you on call such and such, associate, and then say, I see you went to a school, whatever that is. So when I'm networking, I have a lot of notes, being present, following up, and just, making sure that I find some information about them for connecting. I think that's key to building that relationship online.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I would second pretty much everything April just said. Austin's one of the people there in the office that knows I've been a fan of LinkedIn and some of these resources for a long time. And I'm not the vocal person on social media, meaning I don't post much, but I use all of the tools and resources between every meeting, every person that I work with. I've done a previous webinar on how to use LinkedIn for free, like the the free resources you have there. What's the benefit of having Sales Navigator and kind of the additional search tools that you have, all the way to outsourcing, kind of your LinkedIn, which I think should only be part of the spectrum, but then how you tie that in with Instagram and meeting people. You should never come into a meeting today unprepared. Meaning, as April said, you should find some common ground talking point on everybody you have a chance to meet with. If they're not on LinkedIn, they're on Facebook. If they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. I don't know, maybe some people still have MySpace and stuff way back. You could find the person online. And like you said, whether it's a school, a business, a charity they've been involved with, you can turn every person into a warm lead just by a simple Google search today.
I hope nobody finds my old MySpace.
So,
Yeah, no, hopefully not. But that what Jason referenced that he did was actually an interview with Austin too, where it was the LinkedIn and there was valuable tips. And I have the recording, so I'll say if anybody wants that and just contact me. My email's in the chat. I need to revisit that, Jason. That was just definitely great added value.
And April, again, just another thing I mentioned there is you said, don't go into the sales pitch, right? I think we're all guilty of it. If you've ever been in sales and you have something to sell, which I'm sure everybody on this, phone call does, it's so easy just to go straight in. But a lot of times the best processes and services you work with are not really selling you anything, right? I mean, they're providing enough value that you just openly want to know, like, how do I give you money? Right? Like, how do I work with you and learn more? And again, it doesn't work for every type of business, but if you're a small local mom and pop and you're providing enough resources and services, people will ask you, how do I support your business, right? If you're getting on a call and sharing some aspects with them, that does come back, right? I mean, it's good to have people ask you, how do I give you money? Right? How do I move something forward? With you not having to go into sales pitch mode on the first call.
Right, because that's what it's about. It's about building that relationship. How can I help you? And a lot of times the business will naturally evolve out of that, right? Because we business people, like, and trust, right? That's the motto. And so we have to get to actually know people. You try and make that sales pitch right off the bat. It's like when you walk into the used car lot, right? And then the salesperson's on you, hey, want to buy a car today? Right? You're like, whoa, hello, marry me first, right? So we need a little time to get to know each other. And so building that rapport. And like Jason, you said, through LinkedIn, through social media is a great way to get in there and really find out more. What do you have in common? And start developing that relationship, and the idea that the business will follow if you build that relationship and you genuinely like the other person. That's the goal. You want to do business with people you actually enjoy their company, right? I mean, I can't think of anything worse than going to work and not liking anybody. I mean, so important.
Well, the information is out there. Austin asked about strategy. One of the strategies I've always used is not going into LinkedIn just to get a general and a quick connection. I have so many messages coming to me for connections that are technology related, something I don't even handle. So if you spin it and then go a layer deeper, see who in the organization handles that, and then ask the question, hey, I see you do this, but do you think you could introduce me? That's how LinkedIn used to be. You used to know your network, and Jason could say, hey, could you introduce me to Christine? I've at least had now you're like, Christine who, to some degree. So Austin and I've had conversations about trimming that network down and being very strategic who's in your circle. And that's why I invested in Network Lead Exchange, because I didn't want 5,000 connections. I wanted my core on a platform. Christine and I have extended conversations about that. That's the core we're going to help. And we're vetting our network for like-minded people. And we always talk about a giver's mindset. If you come in with what can I give? And I'm constantly, if I talk to Christine, my method is I'm always looking for two contacts. Jason was one of them. Jason's a vet. So it would make sense for Jason to know about Christine and Frisco. And I won't go into the story, but Jason ran for mayor or some background with Frisco, and you just don't know where those connections. I was talking to a guy in Colorado, and he said, I know where Frisco is. I didn't know Frisco until Eric bought the franchise. You know what I mean? So when you start connecting dots, it is so fun. And now since COVID, I'm talking to people all over the world, and that network has grown bigger. So being strategic and really connecting and not just doing a broad brush with these LinkedIn. Otherwise, I'm deleting them, honestly. If you're not making a personal kind of connection, I need to trim down. So that's the strategy I use.
Yeah. Go deep, not wide, right? I'd say, there's a lot of opportunities. You never know who knows who. You never know what other things they might know. I have my one business, but I'm also, involved in the chamber. You might not know that right off the bat. It's until you actually talk to people, you realize how much you really do have in common with them. And you can start building those deeper relationships. This way you become top of mind, right? I always say one and done. If you do a one and done, talk to them once and never talk to them again, you're probably not ever going to get a referral from that person. You're not going to, you know what I mean? They're not going to connect you to anybody. You're just like, hi, bye, drive by, right? And so you got to go deeper with your connections than that.
And I would add to that technology there is, we're mentioning LinkedIn a lot, which is probably my favorite tool because LinkedIn is really, it's all people's information they're putting on there. But I was on a call, I had a call last week that the guy I saw on LinkedIn had posted a video to a YouTube video that he had created, right? So it's very easy to follow rabbit holes on social media, but people kind of assume today that if they're on LinkedIn, you've taken a second to look under LinkedIn. But I happened to click on the YouTube, and Austin, you'll appreciate this. He was a real estate investor that looks at helping churches and building in minority communities, but he had posted a video about the Titus aspect in the Bible. It was literally named Titus, Titus, right, from the Bible there. And I'm doing a discovery day with the guy, and I end up just watching, 3 of the first 5 minutes of a video he has on YouTube. And at that point, he had not connected the dots of the last name that Ray Titus started United Franchise Group. So in the first 30 seconds of the call, I said, hey, look, I connected with you on LinkedIn, but I was intrigued. I clicked off to your YouTube video you posted about Titus, who happens to be the owner of the organization that we're meeting with, right? And as you could imagine, it turned that from where I could have been coming on that call seeming like the closer, or now I'm coming for another sales pitch. He spent the next 5 minutes telling me about how this is his favorite portion, the Bible, and he makes his YouTubes about it. And if he got into just talking about himself, and the whole scenario and the whole call was really diffused from that point. And it was like I was talking to an old military buddy, right? And that was truly just a 3 minute of my life from clicking one link off of LinkedIn. And I bring that up because I think a lot of people, I've heard some people do it, especially some younger guys, they come off very cyber stalkerish because they're just reading your LinkedIn profile to you, right? So I want to let you know that I feel there's a wrong way to do it. And there is a gray area where you can come off from being, hey, you're a stalker and just reading my profile back to me to sell me something, versus did you actually take a second to connect the dots? And sometimes it's simple as one click away, right, of seeing another post that they commented on, or a link that they put to a company that they're with, or a charity that they're involved with, to see what it actually is and does. So sometimes I'm just saying you have to take that second click off or away from where you started to really dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to give each of the panelists an opportunity to kind of share what they want to share with the audience. And so I said that this conversation can kind of go a couple of different ways. Networking with a purpose. I look at it as, like I mentioned before, having a strategy when you go into a networking event, because we're obviously all there for a certain reason. I know we all do love to naturally meet people, but the reason why we're putting ourselves out there to meet other people is because we know that it could lead to great connections and ultimately additional business. And so I want, like I said, to give everybody an opportunity to share what they want with the audience here before we jump off. So whoever wants to jump in first, you're more than welcome.
Well, I'll piggyback just real quick off what Jason said as I sit at corporate headquarters. And like I mentioned, this is the most inspiring room in our building. And there's Austin's grandfather has a bunch of things written on his whiteboard and it's framed in this area. And the one I picked out today, my success is measured by the seeds I sow, not the harvest I reap. And that is so true. Like your success, how can you help other people? Is just so critical. In my core network, I'm constantly spreading that word and talking about that and that message. So continuing along that path and then encouraging in my group, my core group, which my networking, chapter has 30 members. I let them vote and we pick different charities twice a year, So how do you tie your network in, find the purpose? And last thing I'll say is employee retention is key. So the business owners that are on here, if you know the company like UFG cares about helping the community, I want to be part of that. And employees will stay if the owners show they care and they want to give back. And they get on that train and they feel good of the community they work within. So it's just keeping that in mind. We all get busy in our businesses and it's crazy, but just step back and really think how you can help one another. And lastly, Christine, you said you've done a lot of pro bono work and that's key. I went for many years and I look back, connect. I love doing it. But then in Austin, I got to a point where I have a couple of kids that are going to be going to college and I had to be more strategic and smarter, give back, but I don't work for a nonprofit. I have a for-profit business. So just making sure you have a balance of giving as well as making sure you're hitting what you want to for your goals. Christine, you're nodding your head. Pro bono can.
So I could dive in there, Austin. I mean, I know, you titled this Network with the Purpose, and that word purpose is what really stands out to me because I think a lot of people have struggled with what is their purpose. I don't know that anybody truly ever figures it all out, right? But at some point, you have to really kind of determine that. And when it comes to either networking for a purpose, you need to understand what is your purpose of networking. Not everybody's in the same type of business. So when I was a real estate broker, you can't really sell somebody a house. Once I realized that changed the perspective because it's a very long process somebody is going through, right? You're not going to walk in and say, want to buy a house? Yes, and close on a house, right? You got to look at a lot of things. So understanding what your business model is truly could help change what your end purpose is. That I think once you do that, you could see what people truly and really want, right? When somebody buys a house, they're not just looking to buy a structure. It has so many other things that entails inside of that. Same thing when somebody's buying a franchise. I go through that here in VentureX when somebody's looking for office space. What are they actually looking for? Like, what problem are they trying to solve? So my point with that is if you're looking at the purpose side of this, I think you have to determine what your purpose is, especially even with charities. So I did this a few years ago, and mine are, babies, pets, and vets, like, right? So I just outlined that. So I use Charity Navigator. I look for local organizations, and that's what my focus is. Some of them may be big, multinational ones, like, you see the ASPCA and the crying animal in the corner in the winter. It's like, I'll give $30 a month, right? That's pretty passive. But then throughout the year, I look to try to find local organizations that you feel you can make a big impact on, because $500 to Wounded Warrior or ASPCA is not going to make a dent, right? I mean, nobody's even going to see that. But you may have a small local nonprofit or charity that $500 or, Dress for Success or something that you have and could give makes a substantial impact, right? So I think it's important that you have kind of a leverage of both and find that purpose and look for, again, not only the local small businesses, but that local small charity that $500 can make or break them having a website next year, right? The hosting fees or something that you can make a big impact on. And that ties into, again, also knowing and understanding the purpose and goal of your business when you're networking.
Well, so talking about different purposes of networking, we tend to focus more on the business networking for small businesses and helping charities and stuff, but everybody's networking every day, right? When you ask your friend, oh, you went to a new restaurant last night, where did you go, right? We're making recommendations. We're constantly, giving feedback and recommendations and referrals, right? Without even realizing it. So we do it constantly, every day, whether we're recommending a nail salon or right. And so when we do that, everybody should be networking, right? And I talk to professionals that are looking for jobs and they go, I have 5 people on LinkedIn. Did you never think you were ever going to need a job ever in your whole world, right? This is an opportunity to use those tools. And like Jason talked about with LinkedIn, to start connecting now. And my kids are at that age where they're early in their careers, and I won't date myself by saying how old they are, but they're starting out, right? And I'm telling them, make those connections now. Right? Get in there and start networking now, because someday you will be out of the military and you're going to know people that live all over the world, all right, from those military veterans that you've worked with, right? And so, getting those connections going now, you're going to need them, whether it's personal, whether it's business and job related, finding a job if you decide you want to work for someone else, or a mentor for if you want to do your own business, or even, advance in your career. But we have this opportunity, and we tend to look at it as just a business thing, and it's not. It's everywhere, and everybody should be doing it. Everything is an opportunity to learn, grow, make connections, and become part of the community, whether it's through your local church or your local nonprofit, right? It's all building that community, and it's an opportunity that we can all participate in.
And I think it's just having conversations. So people will say, I don't know how to network. How do you do it? And I don't know if it's networking or nosy. I love learning about people. My poor husband will say, can we leave now? But by asking questions and just curiosity, I was at the Breakers Hotel here and just came up with a conversation. It ended up being the CFO of the company that makes the toys for Wendy's kids meals. And he just went into the mission behind Wendy's, and that they help teenagers that are aging out of the foster system. And I literally had chills and made that connection. Last night at the restaurant, ownership is changing. And I said, oh, can I say hello to the owner? And just started asking them, what changes are you going to make? And that's the thing, like, how can we help you? So just stop, slow down, ask some questions, be curious, and that's going to help you know them and know how to help them best.
The other thing I would add to that, my wife always jokes, right, that I'm not scared to be the aggressor in a networking scenario, meaning so many people do the first level of networking, which is, hi, what do you do? Get the card, and that's it, right? You go home feeling very good about you having collected a bunch of cards or looking at your LinkedIn profile, but that doesn't really accomplish much, right? So I'm the guy, that'd be at a networking event that I'm going to email you right when I'm there, or ask, like, what are you doing tomorrow? Like, right. So, if I'm available for lunch, and since I've been back in Dallas, I've done that. And to April's point, I was just picking up food, curbside pickup, and there's a guy standing out there. And this is for those people that are in the Dallas market, Highland Park Village, which is similar to, Palm Beach Island. I'm at the Mi Casina there, my Tex-Mex place, curbside. And I just noticed guy, younger guy, but has a really nice watch on. So I say, hey, nice watch. Like, right. And he starts talking in a British accent. Well, for those of you who know, I was in the military station in England. I was like, oh, you could tell, hey, I used to live in England. That sparks another conversation. Well, he's moving to Dallas from England. He's the head of Barclays private wealth division. And when I meant it was a nice watch, it was a nice watch, right? I mean, this watch, guy's moving here, hadn't really met anybody. He just texts me happy Hanukkah, and we're getting together. I'm the only person he now knows in Dallas beyond his $1 zillion clients that they're moving here for. And from a nice watch conversation, a British accent, we've already actually met in person since then. And he's sending me, happy holidays text messages now from a simple encounter. So my point with that is if you feel like you hit it off with somebody, don't be afraid to be the aggressor and say, hey, look, loved meeting you. Are you open for coffee tomorrow morning, right? Grab a 7th, and people still get coffee, right? In today's world, you can still sit outside, do it with mask on, whatever you want to do. But I've never had somebody do that to me. As long as I'm saying that, I'm always the aggressor. My wife jokes because she knows if I meet a guy, I may be like, hey, I may be literally at coffee with the guy the next day. And I've made some lifelong friends that were just random circumstances through that, exactly what I'm saying, right? It's as simple as just asking. they may be taken back by it, and who cares, right? But it's, I've had somebody tell me, like, I can't believe you actually invited me to do something. I'm like, what's the point of networking, right? I didn't want to just collect your card. I was truly interested in what you were doing. This guy had on a watch that cost more than my first house. So I was interested in seeing, hey, look, how did you end up in this, position? What would it take for me to be a private wealth client of yours, right? Like, that was a real question I asked him, and he was taken back. Nobody's ever asked me that, because there is an identifiable number. So my point is, don't be afraid to take that second step of breaking the ice into a real engagement, right? Whether it's from LinkedIn, I've done it on LinkedIn, right? It's how I ended up at LinkedIn. I actually asked somebody that I saw who's the head of training, and he runs LinkedIn's training department. So all those LinkedIn certifications, I literally messaged the guy and just said, hey, look, I'm a certification junkie. I love this. He connects me with an organization that does training at LinkedIn, and they happen to have been having one in a month. And I flew to Silicon Valley and met this guy in person, right? Spent 2 days at LinkedIn, went to their cafeteria, great experience, but it just happened from a cold message on LinkedIn.
Being genuine, right? Just be you. Don't be afraid to be you. People like you. Go figure, right? Just be friendly, because you're right. A lot of people are afraid to take that initiative and make that call, right? But I always say a stranger's just a friend I haven't made yet. So, you just never know where it's going to be. I love that story, Jason.
Yeah. So last thing I'll leave you guys with,
maybe Santa will bring you a watch, Jason.
I hope so. Like, yeah, I mean, so now he sends me pictures of his watch collection, showing off a little bit. Nobody else ever noticed it, but I mean, it's some really nice watches. And for those of you that don't know, I'm at United Franchise Group because of LinkedIn, right? So somebody from United Franchise Group connected with me on LinkedIn 10 years ago. That's how I ended up connected with the organization, right? It was, somebody directly reaching out. I don't know, Austin, if you knew that, right? It was Aaron Crawford at the time, who was there at LinkedIn, actually reached out to me from LinkedIn. First time I ever heard about the organization, right? So I'm a product now 10 years later of a cold LinkedIn connection. And just so many of the things I've done and I see people do are from that. But it usually takes that one person kind of being that first instigator, per se, moving forward to make something happen there.
Definitely. And I actually have there's a question that came in. It was directed at Jason, asks, what about Venture X and networking, has synergies? I know it's an event space and a workspace, co-working space to be specific, but how does Venture X use networking to create an energy and an environment in there?
Well, you're right. I mean, even during COVID right now, right, we have several of our locations that I just went to a grand opening, right, in Castle Hills, just a few months ago there, that the fire department was there. So I'm guessing it was within code, right? But it was still a pretty substantial amount of people there. So our community aspect has a lot to do with networking. I mean, the location I office out of here in Uptown, they used to have the Million Cups program here that was here every single morning, right? Almost every day of the week, there was a networking group meeting here in person at the space. So same logic, that is a significant part of our business. And we're all hoping, I think like everybody, that I was in the military, so I've had enough shots that I'm not scared of getting the vaccine. So, if they just mail it to my house, I'll give it to myself. And hopefully at some point in the future, we can all get back to normal life and meeting here. But I have locations now that I'm receiving emails from asking us about state requirements. Can they still have this big of a networking event? So they're still happening, right? And we're not giving them specific legal advice, but networking is a huge part of the Venture X business model, both internally between the office spaces that are inside of the business, and then the community aspect of building those local community relationships. So it's a very, very significant aspect of the business still today.
Yeah. Well, and it's a great place to host it, right? I know the DFW Veterans Chamber, we actually host an event at one of the Venture X's in October, I think it was. And then we're talking about the Castle Hills location, having another one here soon. It's a great location, right? So we need those spaces so we can network, right? And that's kind of been part of the challenge with this whole thing. So thank goodness for you.
Sure.
And that's the thing, we're networking and the spaces are, Venture X, there's two within 15, 20 minutes from me. When I go there, I feel safe, they're clean, and you can have networking. I've been going to a leadership business council meeting for probably last 5 months. They put 3 to a table. So we have to get creative and create safe spaces, but still have that human connection. So with Venture X, Jason, I don't know if you know that. Remember, that's actually how I got introduced really to the franchise world. I went to a ribbon cutting and I said, oh my gosh, I love this community. And I kind of backtracked it up to United Franchise Group and got a tour. And anyway, that's where the networking at Venture X created this opportunity for me as well.
Awesome.
And I tell people, when you're looking at networking opportunities, there's thousands of different websites and groups. I highly recommend going to something that's out of your comfort zone, right? As frequently and often as possible. I've just learned so much. And if you're a professional, it's sometimes you're the expert in the room, but it's nice to be the dumbest person in the room on some things. And I just put it clearly as that, because I went to like a coding, networking event, and it's, I thought I did a lot of stuff, but there's kids in there that were 22 years old on a PhD in data science, and they're trying to turn their car into a self-driving car on their own, right? They're coding the stuff at home. And I'm just like, I've never felt so stupid in my life, like sitting in the room with all these people. But it helps kind of expand your knowledge sometimes, going to something that's out of your comfort zone. When I moved back to Dallas, as an example of that, I had moved from Dallas to LA and to Florida, which are two big outdoors types of places. And having lived in Dallas for 10 years, I didn't consider Dallas to be that outdoorsy. There's no mountains, there's no ocean, but I'd gotten into mountain biking. So I truly was like kind of discouraged that, where am I going to go mountain biking in Dallas, like through the city? So I look up Dallas mountain biking groups. And those that don't know, there's a group called DORBA, the Dallas Off-Road Bike Association. Dallas has some of the best mountain bike paths I've been to anywhere, minus the mountains in LA. And I had no clue it existed. Absolutely no clue. But I literally just Googled Dallas mountain bike like meetup groups. And I found this, and they go build parks. So those of you in Dallas, I looked this up. Again, it was something I had no clue even existed. And I was just shocked. I was taken back. I go out to a black diamond like mountain bike course that was man-made in Dallas. So I think, again, getting out of your comfort zone from networking can help broaden your opportunities as well, not just sticking to what you know.
Absolutely. I'm going to piggyback on that, Jason. The whole idea of broadening out your horizons and where you network and how you network, whether you're doing it in person at, Venture X, whether you're doing it online through Network Lead Exchange, right? And that's what inspired me to finally start my newsletter. I tend to work on everybody else's marketing, but I decided I better do mine because I was getting so many questions about, where can I network during this pandemic, right? What do I do? And so I started a newsletter, and every week I feature a new networking opportunity, just so people have new places to go out, check out, and find your tribe, right? Find those people that inspire you and have the same belief system as you of, I want to have fun, I want to grow, I want to learn, right? Get out of that comfort zone. Right. My mug right now that I'm drinking out of, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. This is my favorite cup that I use all the time because of that. Because really, you want to break that comfort zone. That's when you learn and grow.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna close up here. I don't know if anyone has any closing statements. I know that was kind of one right there, but we don't have any other questions from the participants, but I appreciate everybody jumping on. This is recorded, like I said before, so we'll be able to share this in all kinds of different ways, through social, through YouTube, all kinds of different channels. But we appreciate everyone jumping on. And again, if anyone is interested in learning about Network Lead Exchange in the DFW area or within the US specifically, in your area. Go to networkleadexchange.com and we're happy to talk to you. All right. Thanks, everybody.